And to introduce this year's Alumnus of the Year, last year I introduced her as Andra Cantrell. This year I introduced her as Dr. Andra Cantrell.
Good afternoon. I'm very honored to be able to introduce the 2017 Outstanding Alumnus of the Year. First of all, before we get into this, though, I'd like to, before we turn our thoughts to the 50th anniversary of this prestigious award, I would like to read a quote from Dr. E.W. Mintz as he wrote the foreword to the 1986 history of Weatherford College. He stated, "Weatherford College has been a force for educating 5 generations of people from the small towns and rural areas of Texas and the surrounding states. The later success of these students as they have entered important places in education, business, the ministry, agriculture, politics, and other fields remains one of the greatest sources of pride of Weatherford College. The students learn not only subject matter, but also their sense of values and civic contributions, and have been enhanced by their time spent at Weatherford College." Now, 2 generations later, I believe Warren Creason is a great example of what Dr. Mintz was talking about. For those of you that know Warren, this award is no surprise. He is very deserving, as I would believe. For those of you that weren't fortunate enough to attend Weatherford College while he was here, I would like to tell you of what has impressed me so much about Warren over the last 35 years that I've known him. Warren grew up living from foster home to foster home, not meeting his biological mother until the 1980s, and after he had already attended college. Warren graduated from Deming, New Mexico High School, where he was a standout on the basketball court. As the Deming newspaper had a couple of weeks ago, Brent sent to me, it said, "Creason helped guide the Deming High School Wildcats to back-to-back state championships in 1972, 73, 73, 74. Yesterday, Dick Poole, an old friend of his in high school and in college, called me and said that he would like to thank the members of the selection committee for selecting his good friend, Warren Creason, as the 2017 Alumnus of the Year. He said, "I cannot begin to tell you how proud Warren must be. Weatherford was and is a very special place for Warren." Dick asked me to give the audience a little history of how Warren ended up at Weatherford. It goes something like this. In 1973, he was recruited to play for Coach Dave Neely, who's here with us today. And being from Deming, he enjoyed the small college atmosphere. Dick is saying this about his own time here, and he found the people to be very kind and caring. At the end of his freshman year, we were losing a heavy sophomore class, and only 3 players were returning. So Coach asked if I knew anyone back home that could play. Immediately, Warren came to my mind. He was finishing his senior year and had truly an outstanding year on the hardwood. He was ranked as one of the top basketball prospects in the entire state of New Mexico. Warren made a visit, and the rest is history. Now the coach had 2 of us, one with a little quickness, one with a little rebounding ability, 2 average shooters, and a combined vertical jumping ability of about 10 inches. What was Coach thinking? Warren not only excelled on the court, but he also was an outstanding student academic-wise in the classroom, earning a GPA of 4.0. Not a surprise that he has been so successful in the business world. In closing, Dick stated that Warren is always crediting him for his attending Weatherford College, but the person who was responsible was Coach Dave Neely. After Weatherford College, Warren went on to receive a basketball scholarship to Texas A&M University in Kingsville, Texas, where he received his BBA, earning a 3.8 GPA, and his MBA, 4.0. Warren has stated about his time in Weatherford College when visiting with the newspaper, I believe, that when I visited Weatherford as a high school kid from Deming, New Mexico, I fell in love with Weatherford College, and I loved WC more with each passing year. Creason said, "At WC, I learned invaluable life lessons that prepared and motivated me to work hard to be the best person and citizen I could be." Warren started teaching at Texas A&M University after his graduation from there in 1980, and in 1983 entered the commercial real estate business after graduating with his MBA. Following 10 years as Director of Real Estate for Pier 1 Imports and Vice President of Real Estate for Barnes & Noble Booksellers, Warren started Creason Commercial Realty in 1994, and since then has utilized his considerable corporate experience to benefit clients including United Supermarkets, Best Buy, Costco, Home Depot, Michael's Arts and Crafts, PetSmart, Ulta Beauty, and others. As I've come to know Warren better over the years, I've come to realize that being a father and having his own family has been the joy of his life. And Andy is here with us today. The other two could not be here. Although the children are grown and on their own, he still plays a very active role in their lives. Warren is active in his local community, having served many civic clubs as well as serving as coach to many young people in local basketball and soccer leagues. He is also involved in the United Way Family Mentor Program, North Texas Food Bank, Union Gospel Mission Food Kitchen, as well as many others. Wherever Warren travels or his professional career takes him, he quickly identifies himself as a proud Weatherford College Coyote. When I asked him one time what there was about Weatherford College that kept him coming back to visit so often, he recalled to me that this was the first home that he really ever had, and that he ever felt like he was at home. This past season, as many others, Warren could be seen on the sidelines at many of the Lady Coyote games, rooting them on to victory. While others Warren's age are beginning to talk about retirement, not Warren. Warren now gives as a career objective is to come full circle and complete his career as he started it, in serving others through higher education. As a final career aspiration, he has the desire to earn a doctorate degree in higher education or theology and come back to Weatherford College. I feel very fortunate that although I chose to leave Weatherford College a year early for a university and missed being a classmate of Warren's, I was lucky enough to come to work at Weatherford College in 1980, where I met a lifelong friend as he returned for one of his many visits over the years. I would like to congratulate Warren Creason, Weatherford College 2017 Outstanding Alumni of the Year.
I think so. Let's see if I can get through this without embarrassing myself. I want to say thank you to Dr. Eaton, to Dr. Cantrell, my good friend Andra, to Brent and everybody associated with the college and university who's helped to make this possible today. It's an incredibly humbling honor, as the judge mentioned, and we've got a lot in common. And you'll hear some of that as we move through this. Andra touched on something that's really important to me. I grew up in the foster family system, as she mentioned, and I lived with 3 foster families alone during high school. And so I went to my baccalaureate and graduation one evening. I got in a yellow 1968 Cutlass and drove 13 and a half hours to Weatherford College the next day. I was met by Coach Neely. I'm going to come back to him in a second. And I was behind a lawnmower the following Monday, mowing every blade of grass on this campus, working for Buck McCandless, who many of you remember. So when somebody says they're intimately familiar with this campus, I'm intimately familiar with this campus. I've cleaned every bathroom, I've mowed every blade of grass. This is home to me. And it was important for that reason, because growing up in the foster family system the way I did, you can imagine I'm not, what would the prototype be, 5'10", short, milky, that sort of thing. I kind of stood out like a sore thumb growing up all of those years. I don't know how many times I heard, "How tall are you? What in the world happened to you?" Or I guess the postman really did ring twice. But before I get into some of that history, I'd like to thank some of the people that have shown their kindness to me by taking the time to be here with me today. I want to begin with Pastor Rich Moore and his wife Marilyn. I've known them for years. One of the things that sustained me in growing up the way I did in the foster family system was two things. It was my Bible and a basketball. It wasn't always in that order, but a Bible and a basketball is what got me through. As an adult, well, I'm going to go one step back and I'll come forward. One of the things that makes Weatherford special to me beyond Weatherford College, and I'm going to pick on him more later, is that as a freshman here, in looking for my path in life, one of the things that drew me to the college was Coach Dave Nealon. I accepted Christ into my heart as my Savior on the patio of his home, just a few short blocks from here, as a freshman at Weatherford College. And that changed my life for the positive forever. And there were so many things about Weatherford that happened off of the basketball court, like that salvation, that have helped to make me who and what I am today. Because without God's grace, given the way I grew up, I wouldn't be here today. As an adult, there's nobody in my life that has helped to nurture and grow my faith than Pastor Rich Moore. He's a brother to me in Christ. I love him with all my heart, and I can't tell you how thankful I am that he and Marilyn are here today. When you are in a situation that's as transitional as the first quarter of my life was, and you'll forgive me, I hope, for the basketball analogies and comparisons that I'll draw, the first quarter of my life, I struggled to find some rhythm. And so again, I used a Bible and a basketball to help stabilize my life throughout that period of time. And I built my life on the principles of faith and family first. And from there, just trying to do things that honor God and are pleasing to Him in terms of the things that I think and I say and I do. So from the beginning point of Coach Neely's home and then the nurturing that Pastor Moore's continued to give me over the years, they've helped me, especially nobody more so than Pastor Rich, to be the best Christian that I can be. And that's incredibly important to me. Also here with me today is my son Andy. And Andy has motivated me to try to be the best parent that I could possibly be. Growing up, there was an interesting cross-section, I'll just leave it at that, of families that I lived with, and most of them were short-term in nature. I lived with 3 families in high school alone. So one of the things that I looked forward to the most was being blessed with a family of my own. Today I have 3 beautiful children, and I say children because they're in their 30s now. My oldest son, believe it or not, is more than a half a foot taller than I am. So a lot of people sit there and say, "I thought you were a fairly decent-sized guy until I saw you standing next to Bear." That's my oldest Stuart. He's 7'1", 300 pounds, size 18 foot, and I barely clear his shoulder. I don't know what happened to Andy and I, but Stuart is a graduate student at Indiana University in Bloomington. He's getting his master's degree in environmental sustainability and energy policy, and he would have been here today, but he had a vinyl moved up on him and got hit with a stomach bug, so we lost him at the last minute yesterday. Andy and Stuart's sister Megan is a management comptroller with a management consulting firm in San Antonio, and she's participating in a wedding of a friend this weekend, or she'd be here as well. Andy, we all sit there. How many parents are there in the house? Parents? Okay. Can anybody lip sync this with me? I love all of my children the same. Ever use that one on anyone? Well, that's definitely true of me, and I do love my children the same. But I would be disingenuous if I didn't say that there was a special bond and that I wasn't closer in a lot of regards to this one than the other two for so many reasons, and he understands those. He also bears the burden of being the guy that everybody sits there and says, "Oh my God," for the people that knew me growing up in Deming and have known me since then, "Oh my God, that's you 30 years ago." And that is the exact difference in our age, by the way. It's 30 years now. We're going to my hometown of Deming tomorrow, and I'll mention that in a second. He's going to be overwhelmed with that. He's going to get to hear it over and over again. That's you 30 years ago. When I finished high school, I was fortunate enough, as Andra had mentioned, to play on a couple of state basketball championship teams, and was fortunate enough to be voted the outstanding player in the state as a senior. And growing up in the foster family system, I felt like one of the things that I needed was to be self-aware enough to know that I needed discipline and structure. So I had signed an agreement to play at New Mexico Military Institute in Roswell. And if you want structure, that's a great place to go. But Dick Poole, there's two people that are 50-50 to blame for you having to sit here and listen to me at the end of a long lunch and a long ceremony. Dick Poole was a lifelong friend and teammate in Deming and ultimately at Weatherford. And he kept saying, I know that you think you need to go to New Mexico Military, but you just got to come here and visit. You just got to come here and visit. So I finally relented. I signed a letter of agreement with New Mexico Military Institute, but reluctantly agreed to come. Coach Neely came out. He flew out to New Mexico. Somebody had a private plane. They flew me back, and the bond was immediate. The connection that I felt to him went well beyond basketball. It was personal in nature, and that bond, that friendship is stronger today than it was 43 years ago. Interestingly, and I went back, and I'm a Virgo, so I check these things. This great honor today comes almost 43 years to the day from the first time that I stepped foot on this campus. I had a baccalaureate service one evening. He picked me up on the plane the next, and it was a Friday, the third Friday of April in 1974, 43 years ago, when I stepped foot on this campus for the first time. We got off the plane. I don't even remember where we landed. We got off the plane. 30 minutes later, I was in the gym, and there's some show to go with the tell. I was in the gym, and I was wearing this. Less flatteringly, I was also wearing these. And I still can't answer how. But Coach Neely, who I thought I was really going to like on the plane, said, I'm going to show you the gym. Well, I'm a basketball player. I wanted to see the gym. I didn't realize I'd be wearing this 30 minutes after getting off of a plane, and he rolls a basketball out on the floor. Gentleman comes out. His name was Greg Perry. I don't know if any of you remember Pop Gun Perry from the early 70s at Weatherford. Leading scorer, best player at Weatherford College at the time, and heck of a ball player. So Coach sits there and he tells me, he said, you guys are going to play best 2 out of 3 to 11, win by 2. And he said, and I'll tell you what, son. He said, if you can take one game off the Pop Gun, you've got a scholarship to Weatherford College. I said, okay. Well, the first game it seemed like it was over before it started. I don't think I'd broken a sweat yet. And I quickly realized I wasn't playing high school basketball in southwestern New Mexico. Greg was the leading scorer and best player for a reason. He was a heck of a ball player. But then my competitive juices and my pride, something kicked in, and it was game on. I managed to eke out a win in the second game and won a scholarship to Weatherford College in the process. I won't bore you with what happened in the third game. I'll just tell you it wasn't pretty. I may have lost 2 out of 3, but I won the one that mattered, and I won a scholarship to Weatherford College. The things that I learned at Weatherford, they reinforced the values that were most important to me, my faith and my family. I learned work ethic, I learned character, and I learned that those are the things that would make me successful long term. Many of the things that I learned at Weatherford that prepared me for life, and again, this was my first home. I was no longer dependent on anyone else. I no longer had to worry about, I was the one that, what was that thing on Sesame Street? One of these doesn't look like the other. That was me. Which one of these is not like the other? That was me growing up. That didn't matter anymore. This was home. This was my family. And I learned so many experiences off the court as well. I don't know if Merlin Coleman is here. She probably had to go back to work or to class. Merlin did a great job of sensing that there was kind of a wounded duck here when I was working for her in the work-study program, and she did a great job of influencing me to let down some of the walls and let people get closer to me than I'd been willing to do growing up. Mary Whitson, I called her my Weatherford mom. She was Mama Mary. She always had my schedule at the beginning of the week and my check at the end of the week for the work-study program after I got through cleaning all the toilets and mowing all of the grass. Brad Tibbetts, and I've seen his picture up here, and it was a devastating loss to lose him in January of 2016, I think it was. Brad was a huge influence on me. You may find this hard to believe, but I like to engage people in conversation, and Andra knows that she can give me this sign or a hook or whatever whenever it's time to wrap this up. But I was sitting on one of the benches on campus one day, and I had previously engaged Brad Tibbetts in some conversation, and he came by and he said, "Why are you not your usual hyperactive self today?" And I said, "Well, I'm kind of bummed because I've been working my butt off, and I work on the campus all day, I'm in the gym all night. I've saved up, I've got tickets to the Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, Beach Boys, etc., concert that was at the old Texas Stadium where the Cowboys played in 1974. But the sophomore that was going to take me ended up coming up with other plans, and so I didn't have a ride to get over there." And he said, "Well, you've got a car. I've seen that piece of junk you call a car. You can get over there." And I said, "Well, I don't know how to drive around Dallas-Fort Worth." And he sat there and he said, "You know what? I haven't known you long," but he said, I pride myself on being a decent judge of character, and I formed a first impression of you. And I got to tell you, if you're going to let a few miles and several cars get between you and something you want that bad, maybe my first impression was wrong, and I underestimated you, or overestimated you, I guess I should say. So I got in my yellow 1968 Cutlass Supreme, and I don't know how I got there, but I know that was one of the best times I've ever had in my life. He called me into his office one day the next year. I had him for a history class, and he said, "I need to talk to you in class." So I said, "Okay." I walked in. I said, "What's up?" And he said, "This is what's up." He threw a test at me, and I think I'd scored a 81. And he said, "I'm going to tell you something." And I said, "Okay, what's that?" And he said, "I know you came here to play basketball, but basketball is finite. Your education's forever. You're better than this. Don't mail it in on me again." And I did it. Every other thing that I did from that point forward, not only in his class, but every other class, I took to heart. Ms. Hughesy's here. She probably saw me as much in the gym as Coach Neely saw me on the basketball floor, because I took great pride in both of those endeavors. Well, Ms. Hughesy, are you? So the lessons that I learned off the court, again, were sometimes the most compelling to me. To this day, I continue to be inspired by the people that I'm proud to call my friends, from Andra to Brent to so many other people here. Ralph Willingham had an amazing impact on me as well. They continue to influence me. And one of the things that we're committed to do through the influence that Ralph had on me and working with Brent, and I've got somewhere here. Oh, I knew I brought it. I've got a check for Mr. Baker. We're going to initiate a Coyote Hoopsters Weatherford College Scholarship, and I'm going to start doing some corporate fundraising to go along with some seed money that I've put in. I'm going to be looking to the Booster Club, to the coaches, several former players that I've stayed in touch with over the years, and we're going to fund a pool of money, I guess you'd say, that will specifically be generated to benefit veterans, with a preference given to wounded veterans. I think all of us understand and appreciate the many blessings we have and the quality of life that we're afforded by our veterans, and any opportunity that we get to give back in any small way. Thank you, Ralph, for the things you do with and for our veterans. Thank you, Brent, for what you do with and for veterans through the foundation. I think the Coyotes, one of my favorite players to watch on the Coyotes team this year, and I apologize for forgetting his name, but he's a veteran. So that's one of the things that we're going to be focusing on. And if anybody that knows me, if I put my mind to something, I'm going to be talking to some of my corporate clients, and we're going to do good things for some of the veterans and try to help Ralph and Brent continue to do some of the wonderful things that they're doing for our veterans. Is it time to wrap this up? Pretty much time to wrap this up. Well, all I can say is the person that wants to thank me for that is Coach Neely, because I was about to pick on him. But before I close, I want to also introduce Marie Kiefer, who's my better two-thirds. I talked about the fact that Pastor Rich makes me want to be a better Christian. Andy's motivated me to be the best parent that I can be, along with his brother and sister. She motivates me to try to be the best man that I can be. I'm thankful to her, and I want to express my love for her and thank her for taking time away from her career to come and be here today. Also at the table, Weta, Dr. Mintz, what a great influence on those of us that were of character and willing to pay attention. When your dad was here, I ran into him one time and he said, "How are you liking your experience here at Weatherford College?" And I couldn't believe Dr. Mintz was talking to me. And I think I probably had grass stuck to half of my body and everything. And I said, "Well, you know what?" I said, "I love it here. It's home. And the people that are here are part of my family." He said, "I've got my eye on you." And he said, "I'll tell you what," he said, "you take care of business on and off the court. We'll take care of you." And he always did, and Weatherford always has. It is home to me. It always will be. This is my family, and it is, as Andra mentioned, my goal. I don't know if it'll be in 2 months, 2 years, or when, but I'll be back in higher education. I hope it's here, and I hope to see you again in the very near future. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for this very humbling award, and say God bless you all. Thank you.
This microphone down again. Warren, I'm proud of you. I really am. Thank you, sir. What a great talk. And Warren has also established a wonderful new tradition of the Alumnus of the Year handing me a check. So, thank you. So if you win next year, you know what you got to do. All right.